Hi, this video presents the paper, Hello, is there anybody in there? Analysis of factors promoting response from authoritative sources in crisis, authored by Xuyang, Antara Bahursettiwar, and Marina Kogan from University of Utah. In crisis situations, people, resources, and information converge on the disaster-affected area. People's attention also converges onto the digital side of disruption. This generates massive numbers of disaster-related messages, making it difficult to find relevant, trustworthy, and locally actionable information. To wade through this data deluge, affected users often turn to the authoritative sources. These are individuals and organizations that provide credible and authoritative crisis-related information based on their official position or status. Some examples include local and national media, local government, state and national politicians, meteorologists, and humanitarian organizations. This paper aims to aid people affected in crisis in getting the trustworthy and localized information they need from the authoritative sources. To ensure the information can reach those in need, we seek to uncover what factor influenced the likelihood of receiving a response from an authoritative account. We investigated contextual and linguistic factors that might affect the response rate from the official accounts. For contextual features, we first focused on the popularity of the regular users, as there are well-known asymmetries in social media communication with respect to popularity and influence. As part of the context, we also investigated whether the response rate was a function of how busy the authoritative accounts were with the information requests on the day in question. In terms of linguistic features, we explored the influence of tweets' content, which we operationalized through its topics. We also studied how the sentiment conveyed in the tweets and the word choices representing various psychosocial categories affected the response rate. This research was done in the context of the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season. Our Twitter data was collected through the most active portion of the season, starting with the Hurricane Harvey on August 17th and through September 25th, when the inner core of Hurricane Maria collapsed and significantly changed the structure of the storm. This season was incredibly destructive, primarily due to Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Marina, causing hundreds of billions of dollars in damages and claiming thousands of lives. For data collection, we consulted with subject matter experts at the National Center for Atmospheric Research to identify about 700 authoritative sources of hurricane information on Twitter. We next collected all the tweets from each account across the time period of interest. This is different from other Twitter research, which often only collects tweets based on keywords or hashtags. This way, we include the entire context around what people are saying, as well as relevant information that does not include the keywords we might generate. We also collected all the interactions with the authoritative sources: retweets, replies, quotes, and mentions. Such data collection allows us to study how people engage with the information shared by official sources. Remember that in addition to every original tweet from the authoritative accounts, we collected all the replies to, as well as all the retweets and quotes of each account's tweets, totaling in about 10 million tweets. But for this analysis, we focused on the original tweets by the authoritative users, replies to them from the regular users, and the rare case when they responded back. We calculated the response rate from authoritative sources in two ways, on the user and on the tweet level. You can see that the response rate is really low for both measures, so let's explore what factors help these select replies get a response back. One factor that may affect whether a tweet gets a response from the authoritative sources is its author's popularity. On social media, the loudest voices often get most attention. Popularity and status are often intertwined with the collective attention. Correlation between the popularity and response rate was statistically significant, but it had a very small effect size, suggesting no practical effect. Another contextual factor that may affect the response rate is the timing of the tweets. Do they arrive on busy or non-busy days for authoritative sources? We found that updated median response rates were statistically significantly different, but the effect size, again, was small, suggesting no practical effect. Next, we explored whether the actual content of the reply would affect its chances of receiving a response back. We compared how probable a topic was among the responded and the unresponded tweets. The differences are statistically significant for all but 3 topics, but the effect sizes vary dramatically. The topic Hurricane Irma has the greatest effect size of 0.25, followed by the power outage and the timeline. The topic Hurricane Irma contains replies from regular users to meteorologists, seeking confirmation on the hurricane path, predicted evolution, and possible impact. Here's an example. Here, the regular user is trying to clarify the hurricane path information provided by the NWS Miami. The topic Power Outage contains replies to power companies reporting power outages, requesting services to restore power, and complaining about the delay of services. The topic Timeline contains replies requesting information about school schedules, flight schedules, and whether to cancel planned trips. 3 Spanish language topics are prominent among the unresponded category. The topic Political Issues is mostly non-hurricane related. The topic Utilities contains replies from regular users reporting utility outages. The topic Irma Maria discussion is mostly around meteorologist John Morales' tweets about the path of the hurricanes. It is disconcerting that the hurricane-related Spanish topics are less replied to than their English counterparts. Since most of these Spanish language replies are addressed to Spanish-speaking authorities, language barrier is not the explanation. We tested 2 other possibilities. We found that the Spanish-speaking authoritative accounts were carrying a much heavier reply load due to the poor coverage of Hurricane Maria by the mainstream media, which led to their lower response rate, which in turn likely is a cause of the hurricane-related Spanish topics being less responded to than their English counterparts. Next, we examine another linguistic factor, word usage and sentiment of the tweet. We found that a few word categories had a non-negligible effect size. Relativity includes words that describe movements and associations. We imagine part of the reason that this category has a strong effect may be due to questions about evacuations and movement of the hurricanes being somewhat prioritized by the official sources. Space category includes words that denote relations between objects. Time category contains words that denote time associations. Higher use of tentative language reflects uncertainty or insecurity. Twitter users were likely seeking an answer or help in resolving uncertainty. This result suggests that tweets with a tendency towards curiosity, tentativeness, and spatiotemporal relationships seem to get a better response. Here's a tweet with high score for relativity. You can see that relates to the movement of the storm. In this example with high tentativeness, regular user is also trying to contextualize the information and apply it to their own location. To wrap up, I'll discuss the implications of this work. This paper makes a contribution to CSCW by seeking to understand collective sense-making that takes place when authoritative sources help affected users make self-critical decisions by providing credible information, and those affected report their first-hand localized experiences. Our findings show that popularity is not the driving force in getting responses from authoritative sources. It gives us hope for the social media platforms, at least in crisis. Instead, we found the linguistic features are prominent in getting a response. Tentativeness is helpful for getting a response. This is consistent with the conversational analysis literature that suggests that different modes of addressing one's conversation's partner is likely to elicit a different response. The official sources are likely to be especially attuned to the uncertainty faced by the affected population in the time of crisis. Questions and clarifications around relativity and movement of the storm and people were likely to receive a response. This relates to people need to contextualize official information. No risk communication is detailed and contextual enough to accommodate everyone, so people try to contextualize things for their own situation, both space and time. Our findings show that Spanish topic categories are often unresponded. Here, a policy that promotes Spanish-speaking authoritative sources would be useful.